As you all know, Bradley Beal is a name who has been hot on the trade market for the last couple of seasons. Going into this offseason, it seems like the Wizards are once again going to make Beal available for trade. In this video, I'll break down 3 potential trade partners and how a Bradley Beal trade could benefit their squad as well as the Wizards. But first, there are a couple restrictions. Beal is on a 5-year, $250 million deal, so for a trade to go through, a team would have to be able to match that money. Beal also has a no-trade clause, so any team that wants to trade for him would have to be a desirable situation, or else he'd just decline the offer. Washington will also have to gain something solid in this trade. Beal is too good for them to salary dump him, but at the same time his value may not be as high as some may think. The first and maybe most realistic option would be the Philadelphia 76ers. After a disappointing second-round knockout, it seems like James Harden might be on the way out, but Philly is still in a place to compete. If they can grab Beal, they'll be contending, just like last year. In a mock trade with Philly, Washington would move Beal and get back Tobias Harris, Furkan Korkmaz, Mac McClung, and a 2026 first-round pick. Washington would only have to pay Harris 2 more years of his contract, which would allow them to be players in the 2025 free agency. And snatching up the Sixers pick in 2026 could be pretty valuable if Beal doesn't succeed there. Korkmaz and McClung are just some higher upside guys that could maybe perform off the bench for Washington. They're pretty cheap and they're low risk guys to fill out their roster going forward. If this trade went through, the Sixers would be able to run a lineup of Tyrese Maxey, Bradley Beal, Jalen McDaniels, PJ Tucker, and Joel Embiid. While Washington could play Monte Morris, maybe a guard that they take at 8 in the draft this year, Kyle Kuzma, Tobias Harris, and Kristaps Porzingis. The next option that could be possible is the Los Angeles Clippers. The Clippers were knocked out in the first round of this year's playoffs, and a lot of that relied on Kawhi Leonard and Paul George not being healthy. Although you can't guarantee health, you still need to go into this season assuming those guys will be ready to play. And if you're going to go all in on a championship, why not make your own big 3? In a mock trade with the Clippers, Washington would trade Beal and get back Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, Ivica Zubac, and the 30th pick of this year's draft. The Clippers would be able to assemble their big 3, and Washington would snatch up some of the Clippers' most valuable role players, as well as pick 30, which could have some upside depending on who the Wizards select. It may seem like a lot for the Clippers, but considering their willingness to cycle through their role players in the past, I don't think they'd have strong ties to these players mentioned. If this trade went through, the Clippers starting lineup would look like Terrence Mann, Bradley Beal, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, and Mason Plumlee. While in Washington, the Wizards could start Monte Morris, Norman Powell, or maybe a guard at pick 8, Kyle Kuzma, Kristaps Porzingis, and Zubac. The last mock trade I'm bringing to the table for this video would take place in none other than the Big Apple, as the Knicks would try to bring a championship squad back to New York. After getting knocked out in the second round, it's clear the Knicks need to make some changes to be a serious contender in the East. So why not make some noise and bring in another star guard next to Jalen Brunson? In a mock trade with the Knicks, New York would acquire Bradley Beal and Corey Kispert, while giving up Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, Quentin Grimes, and the Bucks' 2025 first-round pick. The Wizards probably don't want to move on from Corey Kispert, but in order to bring in the all-star Julius Randle, as well as one of the Knicks' favorite young guards, Quentin Grimes, he needed to be worked into the deal. Getting Beal would allow the Knicks to get their young front court some action, and move on from the polarizing Julius Randle, especially after a very poor playoff run. If this trade went through, the Knicks would start Jalen Brunson, Bradley Beal, RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, and Mitchell Robinson. And in Washington, the Wizards could roll with Monte Morris, Quentin Grimes, Kyle Kuzma, Julius Randle, and Kristaps Porzingis. So those are all the trades I have today. Do you guys think Bradley Beal will leave the Wizards? And if so, where will he go? Let me know in the comments and let me know which player I should do next. I'm going to try to make this a series on the channel. This was Next Man Up, Bradley Beal, out.